Hey guys, Clavali here. Paris has asked me to record a short segment on recording clips. It's important to record your clips in a decent quality or bitrate and FPS, the frames per second. And there are several ways to record your gameplay, such as Nvidia Shadowplay or its AMD equivalent, Radeon Relive. However, I recommend using OBS, because once you have it set up, it's easy to use. In OBS there are a couple of settings that I want to briefly cover. There's no need to go into a lot of detail, but the essence is that you want to record in either 1080p or 4040p, just depends on your monitor and graphics card, and at least 60 FPS. It's imperative that the game you want to record runs smooth enough such that you can actually reach the FPS number. So yeah, for example, there's no point in recording, let's say 120 FPS while your graphics card struggles to maintain, barely 100. So yeah, furthermore, you want to have an adequate bitrate so that your clips looks good as well. So to give an example, for 1080p, if I go to settings here, first is of course important, this should be 1080p then, right? So 1920 by 1080. For me, I record in 1440p, so that's why it's 2560 by 1440. And you want to make sure that your setting, your FPS value is on integer FPS value. You can change it to 60 or you could change it to 120, for example. So what you want to do is in your output for recording, I have it on standard. You want to make sure your recording format is in Matroska video, because for example, if you're recording and your PC crashes, it will still save that recording, you'll still be able to use it. You can later then in OBS remux it into an MP4 file to send to the editor. What I like to do is have multiple audio tracks, so one for the game, one for the audio on Discord, so you can record the reactions of the friends in the party, and of course your own voice. That's what I prefer to do on the third track. What I recommend to do is for the encoder settings is to use a constant bitrate, because that is easier for editors and their software to process, because it will always expect the same bitrate. And for 1080p on 60 FPS, I recommend you use 15,000 kilobytes per second. And if you, let's say, want to double your FPS, then I recommend you also double your bitrate, so 30,000. But let's say you're using 4040p, right? So what you want to have then is also a constant bitrate, of course, but then you want to have a bitrate of around 50,000. And for, of course, the same thing, when you have a higher FPS like 120, just double it. It's important that you have a high bitrate, because the clips will definitely look a lot better. And yeah, of course, if you go too high on this, then the quality will have diminishing returns. It wouldn't be, it doesn't get better every time. Also, your PC will likely struggle to handle it if it's too high of a bitrate. Furthermore, I recommend that you also have your preset on quality. You just want that the clips looks the best, right? So for audio, you can keep the bitrates here the same. Often I use a replay buffer for recording, so I just enable it and have like 90 seconds. It will also give you like an estimate of how big the file will be once you press the replay buffer button. So I have the game running in the background here. It will look a bit odd because I have my Windows settings a little bit fucked up right now, so it's a little bit bright. But let me demonstrate how to make a scene to record this well. So I'll create a new scene. I'll call it Backup 6. And let's enable the preview. We'll add the audio, so the Black Ops 6 audio. We search for the game. Where is it? Call of Duty. We'll also record the game itself, so window capture, so Black Ops 6 game. We select Call of Duty. Sometimes it might take some time for it to figure it out. can also like choose which capture method, but sometimes you have to just press Windows 10. Then push OK. Now you can notice that for me it's not perfectly the correct size, because I actually use an ultra wide, so I have to like a little bit change it the way I want it to look. If it's the case for you that's not, you know, the exact size of the recording, what you can do is just press right click, you go to transform, stretch to screen or fit to screen, that should be correct, and then it will fit the whole thing, and I prefer to do a lock preview so it's the whole screen. And then I like to add a input capture from my microphone. I'll use my Yeti. What I then of course do is go to their properties. Oh, sorry, not the properties, I mean their the audio tracks here. You want to disable all the other tracks. You want to make sure they're separated. So for example, Black Ops 6, the game audio will be on the first track, my microphone will be on the third track, and for example, if I had Discord open, I would edit the same way and put it on the second track. So that's how I would set up my recording. And then you use the replay buffer to record your replays, right? Then I think it's also important to briefly note that in your game you want to make sure that some settings are set up in a correct way, right? So if you go to your game, right, you go to settings, go to graphics, you want to make sure that of course you're rendering a good resolution, right? You have your settings dialed in the way you want it. What is good to have is depth of field turned off, and if you go to your view, that your world motion blur is off and weapon motion blur is off. That is very important, otherwise the clips will look really bad. I think I've covered everything clips wise. Oh, and then one more thing, I just realized that you should also know how to remix your clips. Because now how you record is, it will always be an MKV file, so a Matroska file. And what you want to do is, after it's recorded, for example, you can see there are MK4 files here, right? And you go to Remux recordings, you drag it in, remix it, we'll make an MP4 file of it, and you can send that to the editor. It will have all the audio tracks as well in the correct space. I prefer to cut my clips using Vegas. I guess I'm old school like that. So if I have my recording for like 90 seconds from the game, right? So I have my game audio in the first track. The second track is Discord, or is my voice. I think the third track is Discord in this case. So I have the draft on auto. For example, I can play it back here. So you get like the audio from the Discord and from my voice. So if you, for example, don't like the guy talking in the background, I just, I can just delete it, delete my own voice, and just have the game audio itself. And then I just, I just cut it however I want to. I just for some reason cut it right here. I delete those. So you have your clip, right? You want to make sure, I think it's the age-old thing in Vegas, that you have resample disabled. I have it in a project by default, so for me it will be disabled by default. Make sure you have this selected. My clip is 120 FPS, so I can choose, to render to 60 FPS or in 120. It doesn't really matter. For example, if you want to post it to Twitter, you cannot post the 120 FPS clips. You want to make sure you render it in 60. So if I go to the render button, and I go to video templates, I have a couple templates set up. So let me show the template. So this is for 120 FPS, 4040p. As a frame rate of 120, of course. I have a variable bitrate of 100,000 because The constant bitrate doesn't go to 100,000 exactly, it goes to 120,000, 80,000 I think. So the way I've set it up is just to put it on 100,000 for both the maximum and minimum, so it will stay the same and just have a p-constrained available bitrate. Let's see, and your settings, and you want to make sure that your video rendering quality is on best, of course. If you were to do like, let's say 1080p 60, then of course, like I also put it on very high. Like I recommended 15,000, right? But I still record at 50. Yeah, you can use a constant bitrate, so CBR, 60 FPS of course, and yeah, as always, make sure it's on best the video rendering quality. But if you want to learn a quick tip, is that if you go to, let's say you want to render both of them, right? So in 60 FPS and 120 FPS, there's actually a cool trick. If you go to Tools, Scripting, and you go to Batch Render, what you can do is render them both. So for example, go to Render Selection. This is the one I've selected here, right? I go to my templates. I select both my 1440p 120 FPS and my 1080p 60 FPS. Just press OK. It will render it for both 1080p and 1440p, sequentially, of course. But it's a useful tool to have. So you don't have to do it manually every single time. You can do it for multiple clips as well if you make the render regions. The other program I wanted to show off is called Avidemux. Just like OBS, it's able to remux your clips. And not only remux it, like OBS will just give the same video file back but then in the MP4 format. Avidemux will also be able to cut your clips only to the sections you're interested in. So let me start the program. This is Avidemux. I'll drag in one of the files. Here we go. And yeah, first what we want to do is cut out the section. So I'll go to where my clip starts. It starts roughly here. So I'll go to a keyframe so I can use one of these two buttons. So there it is. So I'll go to this keyframe. I'll select my end marker here. So it selects the whole first part. I'll just delete that section. So I only wanted to start from where my clip is. You can see we've already cut down 70 seconds from the replay buffer. Now I want to find the end of my clip, which is somewhere here where I die. I want to make sure I'm on a keyframe. Further. Select the beginning, so I push the A marker. Then it automatically selects the rest of the clip. And I press delete. So if I now play my clip back, I will only have the clip. Now, what we want to make sure we do well, because this clip has multiple audio tracks and is 120 FPS 4040p, which is all set here, so that's correct. We want to make sure we output it as MP4, and I think the audio tracks are all included. Yes, they're all enabled. And all we have to do is save the video. Save it here, and boom, it was done. Let's open it. Looks good to me. All right, let's make sure it's the correct bitrate. Yes, roughly 100 megabytes and 120 frames per second. Now it's cut down. So instead of rendering it with Vegas, we can also use Avidemux to cut your clips.